Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Rasulillah. Lillahi ta'ala. Have the good intentions. Barakallahu feekum. Alright, so insha'Allah ta'ala, we have a test. I have prepared 40 questions for you. I don't know how far we'll get, insha'Allah ta'ala. So without further ado, let's start. Question number 1. I'll give you 10 seconds for question number 1. Name 2 things that cannot be possessed. Name 2 things that cannot be possessed. Very easy question. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Gold and silver utensils, that's one thing. You said pig and filthy, you need to fix that. You said the filthy and gold and silver utensils, not exactly, almost. Inshallah, you'll fix that. Let's go back to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You said filthy substances. 1. And can you possess a dog? Is it permissible to possess a dog? It is. Is the dog filthy? Can you purify a dog? You cannot purify a dog. So 2 things. What's right there in the text is pigs, specifically, and golden and silver utensils. We didn't say filth generally. We didn't say that. Because you can have a dog. You can, for example, if you wanted to make vinegar, you're going to make vinegar out of wine, aren't you? And wine is filthy. But the pig, for example, you just can't even have it. Like you can't have a pig pen and just keep pigs outside your house and then you throw them garbage so they can eat it and then you just live a happy life like that with pigs. That's haram. So you cannot even have them. So it's not filth in general. Pigs, you cannot possess them. And golden and silver utensils, you cannot even keep it. So if you had a display for golden and silver bowls and things like that, plates as decoration, that's haram. You can't even have that. All right. Subhanallah. So that's question number 1, not answered to my satisfaction. Since you said pigs, let me see. What did you guys say here? Bismillah. You said pig and filthy. So that's half the answer. You said filthy and gold and silver utensils. That's half the answer. So nobody gave me the complete answer altogether. So I'll give you half of that. You guys, you have half. All right. Someone keep score, insha'Allah ta'ala. So each question is worth 1, unless we say otherwise. So if you get 40 out of 40, that's 100%. So we're on number 1. You have half of a point. That's half. That's for everybody. MashaAllah. So maybe some people will carry the rest. That's fine. MashaAllah. But if you know the answers, brothers and sisters, go ahead and give the correct answers so that the entire group can pass together, inshallah. Question number 2. When can one sell a skin? When can one sell a skin? After tanning it. After it is tanned. Correct. Correct answer. That's 1. Okay. You said copyright or intellectual property. Are you saying that that's counted as something that one cannot possess? Okay, so copyright and intellectual property, they don't even exist for one to possess them. So they are just invalid altogether because they're not real. Okay, question number 3. Give an example of owning something and not being allowed to sell it. Give an example of owning something and not being allowed to sell it. You said a dog. Incorrect answer. Incorrect answer. Abid said a grain of rice. That's correct answer. Correct answer. A grain of rice. Why can't you own a dog then? Since some of you said a dog. Why cannot you own a dog? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You said because it is najis. You said because it is filth. That's the correct answer. Sister, you said, I thought you can acquire it but not sell or buy it. That's correct. So what I'm asking about is owning it. Acquiring it means getting it. Acquiring it doesn't mean owning it. Acquiring it just means getting it. So you can get a dog, and you cannot sell or buy a dog, but you can keep a dog. A trained, beneficial dog, you can keep one, but you don't own it. So the exact question, which was answered correctly, is give an example of owning something and not being allowed to sell it. You said if one is blocked from transactions by the Muslim judge. Okay. If one is blocked by the Muslim judge, he cannot sell what he owns. I will allow that. Question, why can't we sell the rice? A single grain of rice. You cannot sell a single grain of rice because a single grain of rice religiously does not have a monetary value. And you cannot sell something that does not have a monetary value. And a single grain of rice is not something that is normally sought. It does not have a normally sought benefit. But you do own that. You do own that grain of rice. So you need to add a few more grains before you can sell it. You need to add as many grains as what makes it have a monetary value. Anybody's keeping track, inshallah ta'ala? So that's 2.5 out of 3 so far, right? Question 4. How do you obtain permanent ownership? How do you obtain permanent ownership? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. By purchasing. Correct. You obtain a permanent ownership by purchasing the thing. You said by buying or taking ownership of unowned land. Correct. Or by going and collecting something from from the wilderness or from the public resources, that's correct. That is a way of getting a permanent ownership of a thing. So that's two ways. Taking ownership of unowned land that's correct. But even less than that, like just to take a stick or to get some firewood or to catch some fish, that's yours now. So that's correct. All right, mashallah. That's good. 3.5 out of 4. Next question. There are two types of things that can be purchased. There are two types of things that can be purchased. I'll give you 15 seconds for that. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. A permanent benefit and a service, almost. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or a good, correct. A permanent benefit or a good, meaning an item. So you can buy an item or you can buy a benefit. Those are the two types of things you can buy. Buying an item is like buying a car, a book, a house. Buying a benefit is like buying the right to have water routed to your land. Correct. I think that's 4.5 out of 5. Next question. How do you obtain temporary ownership? How do you obtain temporary ownership? 10, 9, 8, 7. By renting. By renting, correct. Correct. Question number 7. Name 3 things that no slave of God owns. Name 3 things that no slave of God owns. I want you to give me all 3 in one answer so I can be sure that you understand the case. You understand what I'm looking for. Give me 3 in one answer. The question is, name 3 things that no slave of God owns. But don't tell me 2 things that are like the same thing. You need to give me different categories of things that are not the same, like the same type of thing or have the same reason. 10. You said water, land, and a free man. Well, a person can own water and he can own land. You said blood, haram, meat, filthy. Blood is filthy and haram meat is filthy. So that's one thing. 10, 9, 8. Trained dog is filthy. 7. You said free person, haram meat, and mosques. What was Murad's answer? You said freemen, banks of rivers and shores, and filth like manure. Okay, yeah, that's correct. I didn't see that. Okay, that's it. Barakallahu fikum. So 3 things that no slave of God owns. A free person, for example, no one owns him. Public land or even wilderness. You said banks of rivers, so that falls under the public land or the wilderness, the shores, the wilderness without developing the land. And filth. That's correct. Like a dog, like blood and haram meat. Mosques, that's correct. That's correct. 8th question. Can you sell merchandise that got splashed with filth without cleaning it? Can you sell merchandise that got splashed with filth without cleaning it first? Yes, yes, you can. Always, absolutely. Is there any case where you can't? As long as it can be purified. Correct answer. Correct answer. What's an example of something that can't be purified? What's an example of something that cannot be purified? You said a pig, but a pig is not merchandise. A pig is not merchandise. So the question is, can you sell merchandise that got splashed with filth without cleaning it? So that means you have inventory of something. You have boxes of some stuff, whatever it might be. Maybe you have shoes, maybe you have video games or laptops or whatever, and then some najasa splashed and got on the boxes. That's what we're talking about. Merchandise, something you can sell. You said oil that becomes filthy or urine that mixed with juice. Correct, correct. Those are correct answers. All right. Now, I have here question number 9 was a bonus question, but I think that you are all going to get the answer really easily because we pretty much covered it. So question number 9 is a bonus question, meaning we're going to ask Allah for whoever answers it correctly to increase his reward and give him whatever good he asks for. We ask Allah for whoever answers this correctly to increase his reward and to give him whatever good he asks for. So here's the question, but I want the answer in one statement. Whoever wants to answer has to answer in one statement. So the question is, what does a grain of wheat have in common with a dog, and what is the difference between them? What does a grain of wheat have in common with a dog, and what is the difference between them? One more time. What does a grain of wheat have in common with a dog, and what is the difference between them? 15, 14, 13, 12. You said it has no religiously sought benefit. The grain of wheat can be owned. The dog cannot be owned. Well, the dog has religiously sought benefit. The dog has religiously sought benefit, so that's not correct answer. You said you cannot sell both of them, however, you can own the grain of wheat. That's correct answer. Correct answer. So the question was, what does a grain of wheat have in common with a dog? You cannot sell both of them or either of them. That's correct. And what is the difference between them? You can own the grain of wheat, but you can't own the dog. Correct answer. Barakallahu fikum. May Allah increase your reward and give you the good that you ask for. Ameen. Yes, I'll explain. So, when it comes to a grain of wheat, you own that grain of wheat. It's yours. You just can't sell it because it doesn't have a value until you add more grains so that it collects until it becomes an amount that has a monetary value. Then you can sell it. So a single grain of wheat, you cannot sell it. Religiously, you cannot sell it. And a dog is filthy, not just filthy, so you cannot sell it because you can't sell filth. So what does a grain of wheat have in common with a dog? You cannot sell either of them. Yes, it's the same as rice. Rice, wheat, corn. So somebody came up to you and said, yo, Abdul Qawi, I got this really nice piece of corn right here between my two fingers, bro. I'll give it to you for a dime. You cannot buy that. So what they have in common, the wheat, a single grain of wheat, and a dog, is that you cannot sell either of them. And what is different between them is the grain of wheat, you own it, while the dog, you do not own it. Correct answer. Barakallahu fikum. MashaAllah. This is going better than I thought it would, to be honest with you, brothers and sisters. MashaAllah. Number 10. What do you do with something left at your house? What do you do with something left at your house? You can just keep it and sell it. 10, 9, 8. You keep it as a trust, correct. You just hold it. When the owner comes for it, you give it to him. When you become hopeless of the owner showing up, then you put it in the Muslim treasury. If the Muslim treasury is corrupt, then you give it away in goodwill. Question 11. What do you do with something found in public or in the wilderness, meaning you took it actually? You said you look for the owner, which can be done by posting information around the area describing the item. What's the original way, though? What's the original way? Okay. Anyone can tell us what's the original way? The original way is to do it verbally, not to post the information. To actually go to some places and say, did anyone lose something? Did anyone lose some money? Without saying exactly how much it is, for example. And then you do that for a certain amount of time. At first you do it every day. Then after a while you do it a few times a week. After a while you do it a few weeks in the month, like that. Then after a while, until after a year passes, and then whatever it was that we learned there. What do you do with something found in public or in the wilderness, meaning you took it actually? In 10 seconds? 9? 8? Oh, you said you can pick it up or leave it. Then you observe the rules for finding the item. You can choose to seek ownership or hold it for the owner to show up. Okay, that's correct. So I was looking for something along the lines of you have to advertise for a year. If you pick up something, a found item, you advertise for it for a year. Unless it's very cheap, then you can just advertise for it for the time that a poor person would stay attached to it. Okay, we'll mark that one as answered correctly. So that's 10.5 out of 11 so far. Question number 12. Name 3 different cases of stealing. Now I'm using the word stealing in the English sense. Name 3 different cases of stealing. 10. Name them all together, please. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. I'll give you 5 more seconds. 9. Can I repeat the question? You said stealing stealthily, robbing, and waylaying. Correct. Stealing secretly, stealing by force, and killing. Well, killing is not stealing. So that one is not a correct answer. You said stealing stealthily, robbing, and waylaying. Yes, correct. Meaning, one way is to take something from its hidden place, its secured place, to take it stealthily. Another way is to strong arm someone, to just go up to him and take his stuff from him by force, strength, robbing. And waylaying, which is like ambushing. That's another category. That's different from just robbing. We're talking about the one who stands, behind the boulder. He sits behind the boulder on the highway, and he jumps out and robs the caravans. That's a different category there. That's different from robbing. Robbing, we mean here like someone walks up to you on the street and he takes your stuff. Stealing by flight is a fourth one. Correct. That means to snatch it and run. You said stealing and killing falls under forcefully. Killing is not stealing. Killing doesn't even come here. Yeah, waylaying is by force. That's correct. By fright, well, that depends on who you get. They might be afraid or they might not be afraid. But waylaying is by force. If you're going to hop out from behind the boulder, for example, you might have shotguns and things like that. So you with me, brother, when I said that killing is not stealing? Yeah, I'm not asking about a had. I'm just asking about stealing. That's all. Taking other people's stuff. Okay, question 13. In how many cases would taking another's belongings warrant amputation? In how many cases would taking another's belongings warrant amputation? 2, correct. Taking stealthily the value of a quarter of a dinar from its secured place, and waylaying with details. Correct. Question 14. What does one own by renting? What does one own by renting? The benefit, correct. Or what's another word other than benefit? By renting, he owns 10, 9. Usage, yeah, you could. The right, correct, that's it. You own the right. He owns the right. You said he has the right to use it any way he wants, meaning in the way that it's used, of course. That's what we mean by that. Like he can't rent a car and use it as a bulldozer, for example, right? Okay, so he owns by renting the benefit, or in other words, he owns the right to the item. He doesn't own the item. The original owner still owns the item itself. He still owns the house itself, or the car itself, or the horse itself. When he rented it to you, he basically sold the right of it to you temporarily. Question 15. Besides the owner, name 3 others who can transact. Owner means owner of the property. Besides the owner, name 3 others who can transact. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. The agent, the partner with authorization, and the guardian. Said the father of a child, authorized person. The authorized, the guardian, the one who gets authorized by the judge. Okay, correct. So I was looking for the guardian. Besides the owner, the guardian can transact. So the guardian of a child, the guardian of an insane person is going to transact with the ward's money. He's going to transact with his ward's money on behalf of his ward. So the guardian can transact besides the owner. The guardian can transact. Also, the agent, that means the person that you authorize. So he's acting on your behalf. This one can transact because you authorized him. And let's use the word the officer. The officer. You said the one who gets authorized by the judge? Yes. Or the judge himself. So the judge, basically the officer, the official. The official also, he has authorization. Or he has authorization. He can transact. Good, correct answer. So far, 14 and a half out of 15. Great. Question 16. How many reasons are there for restriction? I want a number. How many reasons are there for restriction? 2. That's correct. What are they? What are those 2 reasons for restriction? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You said child, and I think that's supposed to be parent. Oh, bankrupt. No, that's not the correct answer. 2. He said foolish, bankruptcy, and deadly illness. Protecting the person's assets and protecting others' property. Correct. That's the answer we were looking for. There's 2 reasons for restriction. 1, protecting a person's assets, protecting his own assets. Why is a child or a crazy person restricted from dealing? To protect his own assets. And protecting the assets of others. Why is a bankrupt person restricted? For other people's assets. So those are the 2 reasons for restriction. You guys almost lost that one. Hajj came in and saved the day for that one. May Allah reward you and protect you. Ameen. Okay, correct answer. The reasons. That was the question. How many reasons are there for restriction? 2 reasons. Question number 17. Who is the bankrupt? Who is the bankrupt? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. The one who cannot pay his debts anymore. That's not exactly how we said it. If you could fix that. 5, 4, 3. The one who did not pay his loans. Not exactly. The one whose debts exceed his assets. Correct. That's the answer. His debts are more than his money. The one whose assets are less than his debts. That's it. You can say that much. That's as much as I know personally. The bankrupt one is the one whose debts are more than his actual property. So if he's like that, he's going to be unable. Is there any way for a person to pay his debts if his debts are more than his property? I don't see how. I mean, without a settlement or something. Question number 18. What is collateral? 15. You said to put up an article that you own against a debt. Correct. Correct. To put up an article that you own against a debt. That's correct. Can you make a debt a collateral? Can you make a debt itself a collateral? No, you cannot. Can you put up a collateral for an item? Like someone says, I want to borrow your car. Can you say, give me a collateral until you give me my car back? No, you cannot. Because that's an item. That's an item. So the collateral has to be against a debt, not an item, not an actual merchandise, or not actual property, but a debt. Like you loan someone money, or like he owes you work. You hired him and there's still work that he owes you. It's a debt. Anyway, the question itself was answered. Question 18 was answered correctly. You said, so is it considered similar to a payment? No, it's pretty much an insurance. This way is permissible. That's an insurance, the collateral. So someone has a debt. Someone gives a loan. Says, I'll give you a loan, but I want a collateral. So you put up an item that in case you don't pay, that item gets sold and then he gets his money back. If you do pay, you get your item back. Not to say that you can't have your item in your possession when it's a collateral. Inshallah, when we come to the chapter of collateral in particular, we'll focus on it. Okay. Question 19. This is an easy one, inshallah. What is the case of the Prophet's acceptance of gifts and charities? What is the case of the Prophet's acceptance of gifts and charities? 10, 9. He can accept gifts, not charities. Correct. Correct answer. Now here's question number 20. That's half of the questions that I have prepared for you. Question number 20. What is the restriction of the person on his deathbed? What is the restriction of the person on his deathbed? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. He cannot give away more than a third of his assets. Correct. Correct. Well, you said to leave a will for more than 1/3. That's different, actually, Sister Fatuma. That's different. I'm actually glad you brought that up so we can talk about the difference there. A person might leave a will without being sick. A person might leave a will without being sick, isn't it? He could be completely healthy and he leaves a will. So you cannot leave a will for more than 1/3 of your money. That's one case. Which means that you make a will, let's say it's a valid will, whatever your health is, but then you die. So then they execute your will for you. The case we're talking about here is a person who's on his deathbed, or he's very dangerously sick, or he's to be executed soon. Now, this person who's going to die soon or is on his deathbed, we're not even talking about his will. Just he cannot spend more than a third of his money. He becomes restricted in more than a third of his money while he's alive on his deathbed. So you have somebody who's on his deathbed. He's really, really, really sick. And he has, let's say, $3,000. So he's not allowed to say to somebody, take 2,000 of my dollars right now while I'm sick in the bed, ready to die. Take 2,000 of my $3,000 and do such and such with it. He can't. Because he's restricted. While he's deathly ill, he's restricted in more than 1/3 or from more than 1/3. Restricted from more than 1/3 of his money. If he gets cured, then he's no longer restricted. That's clear? Okay, alhamdulillah. Let's stop there then, insha'Allah ta'ala. We'll save the next half of questions for next week, insha'Allah. So that's 19 and a half out of 20. What's the score for that? What's the percentage? Any of you is good in math? Sure, that's what? Up in 98% or something? 99%? 97.5. So that is... That's an A plus. I think it's an A plus. It's not an A plus plus, But it's more than an A, and it's definitely not an A minus. So that's an A plus, 97.5. MashaAllah. That's good. Alhamdulillah. You said restricted from using more than 1/3 or giving. Same thing. He's restricted from 1/3 of his money. He only is allowed 1/3 of his money. Whatever's more than 1/3, he's restricted from that. I am very proud, mashallah. Very happy. I'm happy of you. I'm proud of you, and I'm happy for you. MashaAllah. May Allah bless you all. Ameen. And bless us. Ameen. Yes. Yeah, and also any of you who maybe didn't participate as much or at all, you know where's your own shortcomings. And then inshallah you'll work to patch that. But the score is for the entire group. So barakallahu feekum. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. All right, brothers and sisters, so keep reviewing for next week, inshallah ta'ala. We have 20 more questions, and then we'll continue with the document.